This is GeorgeF551 and it's a product review of the SONY HDR-XR150 High Definition Camcorder. And this is replacing a HandyCam that stopped working. So this is basically what it comes with. The battery, basic battery, and of course the camera itself. USB cable, power supply, and a plug which is separate. Comes with a composite video cable for use on a regular TV. Has a component cable which works with high-def TVs. And let's see, that's pretty much what it comes with. Okay, the camera itself, you got your zoom here. This is 25 times zoom, optical. Zooming in, out, then back in. There's your battery, and there's your record for, let's record for video, and your photo button. You can take photos while shooting video, which is something the HandyCam family has always had. It's they're a little cheap on the optical sensor. It's a 3.1 megapixel CMOS. The old HandyCam had a 4 megapixel. However, you only need 2.1 to do high def video anyway. So your photos will suffer a little bit. And you got your manual lens cover, open and closed. There's no automatic there, and there's your stereo microphone, which is pretty loud. And over here is your DC input and your audio video in, whether it's the composite or the high def component. And over here you have your HDMI out. It does not come with an HDMI cable. You have to supply that yourself. And that's where the USB cable connects. And you get your other buttons here, like burn to disk, auto. Alrighty, I'm gonna put this down. This might jitter a little bit. So the operation is somewhat simple. I mean, you're gonna need to get a little used to it. Now right now this thing is set ridiculously high. What you want to do is to bring up your menu, you just touch anywhere on the screen and you hit menu, which will be right there. Now you got a bunch of preset options which you probably cannot see, but scene selection face. This is the My menu. These are the 6 that come up. And I've changed a couple already. If there's something you don't care about here, what you can do is you can change what shows up in your My menu. I've added exposure and low light. You'll see that in the actual video demonstration. To change any of these, you hit My menu setting. You have a choice between movie and photo and playback. I'll just choose movie. Now we'll choose a button we want to change. I'll just choose face detection. Now it tells you to select an item, and this is your menu system here. You got your, and you hit the up and down to, well, let's just take focus. Now focus has been added, and that's how you change stuff like that. If you want everything to show up and you don't care about this, you hit show others and it brings you the whole thing. You can arrow down, or you notice at the top and you have full-blown up and down. You can skip the various modes like movie camera, shooting, then your camera, the view images. You can change all sorts of things. It has variable things like transitions, like fade to black, like white fader, fade to white, or black fader, fade to black, no need. I got video editing software that can do that kind of stuff. And again, there's all sorts of settings that you can change here. Guide frame, which makes a tic-tac-toe board. Face detection. Function is currently not available for some reason. Create a setting. Auto record. You can modify the settings on this camera all you like. Visual index, view images. Now, in this particular model, it has a 120 gigabyte hard drive. However, underneath here, which you can probably not see, it's SD or the memory stick duo, which I have right here. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to recognize the images that my old HandyCam has recorded, so much for that. So I mean, it's rather easy to work with, and right now everything is manual. So what I got to do is change it back to auto. There we go. And like I said, that's one of the options I changed on the My menu. And it's got a 25x zoom, like I said. And we got this mode button here. It switches between video and camera. And of course, camera, you can choose 3.1 meg, which is the best, 2.4, which is full-blown high def, 1.9, which is kind of lower res HD, and VGA, which is your 640-480. I'm going to change that back. That was for a demo. So now I'm going to go back to video by hitting the mode button, and it's back to video mode. Playback can be a little challenging. And there's your play button right there. And once you get used to it, you'll figure it out. You can choose a video by hitting the particular thumbnail, and it'll play. You got your volume button here. Whenever you touch this, there's your volume.
Like many others, it does not include night shot, but it does have.
And that isn't one of the flaws of this camera. It does not have night shot, as you might have just heard there.
Not really that much better, as we're going to see.
So now what we're going to do is exit out like that. You can choose your videos like that. Same thing with pictures. Works the same way. And to turn off the camera, you just simply shut the viewfinder. It'll flicker for a little bit, and then off it goes. And now, I recommend this camera. It works very well. It takes a little getting used to. There is no night shot, unfortunately, so you'll see in the demonstration how I deal with that. And the lens cover is not automatic, so you lose a little there. And you can get better batteries if you want. And it does, of course, have a mount for a tripod. So right now we're going to go and look at some video demonstrations. This is a test of the SONY HandyCam camera that I have recently purchased. And we're testing the quality of the video. As I've already noticed, if I hold it still and move to the side of something, like the edge of that sign, you notice that unlike the TX series of cameras, this does not have the dreaded fisheye disease. There is a natural amount of fisheye, but it's natural. There's St. Leo's School, and aim away from traffic. And this is Carter Park, and it has a 25x zoom lens, optical. Let's see if we can get in on that sign. There we can. There we go. Sorry for the jitters, but we're at 25x here. So we'll look down, look at the blades of grass. There's a patch of snow. And it does pretty well. There's the flag blowing in the wind. And we can get in fairly tight on these monuments. That one's for Vietnam. That's World War... I think that's Korean, actually. World War II is over there. Now I would test this in lower def mode, but all that is it's nothing more than just dumbing down the video quality of what you're seeing right now, so it's rather pointless. Next we're going to take a look over this cliff. Okay, I have to hold this camera high over a fence, so it's really hard to hold it stable. Here's the view over the cliff, and we got some industrial buildings here. Let's zoom in on them. And there's something they're trying to turn into condos. And it doesn't look like they've really gone anywhere with it. Here's some older condos right there. And a piece of a tree, now that I reset this, hi, that fell. Again, this is St. Leo's Church, but this time at the lowest quality video setting. Again, there's St. Leo's School, which the sun's interfering with again. And some monuments we can zoom in really tight on. It's the Korean War one. Not holding it anywhere near as steady as I did before. Oh, there we go. Had a moment there. You can zoom into the Carter Park sign. Okay, this is the view over the cliff, this time in the lowest quality setting, which is 5 megasecond. And we'll zoom in on the factories again, which are actually condos. And we'll try to zoom in on one they're trying to make condos right now. And here's the set they've already made into condos in the 80s. And again, the dead, really massive dead tree that fell. Alrighty, last piece of video is how it does in rather dark settings. I'm in the basement of the apartment house that I live in, and it's somewhat dark in here. And either my landlord or my neighbor put this plastic over the joist. I think he had to insulate. And I'm using my Icon Rogue flashlight to light some of the way. Old boiler. Right there. And a crawl space which goes to another building that was added on later. So what I'm going to do now is, if I can, set the shutter to maximum sensitivity. Okay, now this is with the low light mode and with the exposure set as high as we can get it. Lighting is still the same. As you can see, it definitely is a major improvement. In fact, we can probably even see all the planks that are holding up the fireplace. I'm using the high setting on my flashlight. Now I'm going to set it to low. And we're going to do the quick demo with everything as bright as it's allowed, and per Sony it won't focus. There we go. There's a boiler, so it's trying. And there's that crawl space. And that should be it for video demonstrations.